You know, I've noticed something strange way too often. People who are deep, smart, talented, strong, they're somehow way harsher on themselves than on anyone else. Tougher, sharper. Like forgiveness is something you can give to everyone, except yourself. And I keep thinking, maybe you don't even realize just how much better you are than you think. How much stronger, more resilient, smarter, and how much power is actually hiding inside you. Power that hasn't even been awakened yet. How much of you is still there? The parts you've forgotten. That's probably where it all begins. This channel, these talks, this voice. Not because I'm confident, no. More like the opposite. I'm in this strange state myself, like everything inside is blurry and shaky. No shore, no bottom. Just this feeling that I have to speak. That there are words that won't let me go until they're said out loud. And maybe they won't reach everyone. But maybe one day, someone will stumble on this video. Not because they were looking, just by chance. And suddenly feel like these words were waiting for them. Like they were living somewhere nearby. And only now could finally show up. I don't know if there's anything special in it. But I know one thing. I need to try. Even if it's the first time. Even if it's awkward. If even one woman hears these words and sees herself in them, then it's all worth it. I came across this interview recently. Some podcast in English. The host was talking to a millionaire. Or maybe a billionaire. Doesn't really matter. He asked a simple question. What was your dream when you were young? And the man said that when he was 18 or 20, he dreamed of a red sports car, one with a convertible top. So girls would want to ride with him, and guys would be jealous. He dreamed of it like a symbol, like proof that he'd made it. The host smiled and said, well, you've outdone yourself. You've got cars, planes, yachts. But then the guy answered in a way that broke the script. He said, yeah, I've got that red car. Exactly like I imagined. And I'm 20. But the dream I had back then, I can't live it anymore. Because that dream wasn't really about the car. It was about the version of me who wanted it. And I can't go back to being him. When I heard that, I went silent. It hit like something so simple, and yet almost unbearable. Some dreams don't come true, not because we didn't try hard enough, but because they were tied to the version of ourselves we used to be. And time doesn't go backwards. Yeah, on the one hand, that's sad, almost painful, because even with all your success, everything you've achieved, if there's still this empty space inside, then what? But on the other hand, there's something freeing about it, because you realize not everything has to happen, not everything has to be fulfilled, and that doesn't make you any less. That's just life. You're living this moment, this version of yourself, and you won't get another shot at living this exact part of your life. It exists only once, like morning light that'll never fall the same way again. And in this moment, instead of accepting it with grace, we often start to devalue it, ourselves, our lives, everything we think we don't have yet. No apartment. That's bad. No partner. What's the point then? 7 extra pounds. A disaster. No inspiration. Well, guess it's all ruined. But the truth is, all of that, it's part of the path too. Even if you're not feeling joy right now, even if you don't know what's next or why, it's still your life. Not a mistake, not a failure, not a rough patch. It's the very place something will grow from, even if you can't see what yet. I truly believe where you are right now, that's what makes you you. Not the glossy version, not the polished persona on a resume or Instagram, but a real, living human being. I remember this one woman. We crossed paths in a voice workshop group. She had just started teaching back then. Quiet, very delicate. Her voice was soft, crumpled bills and a bar of chocolate. She always stayed, even if no one showed up. She believed that voice work. This was her thing. The thing she wanted and could do for the rest of her life. A little over a year passed, and one day, she got invited to lead a workshop at a small festival. She said yes, and after that, more places started calling. One center, then another, then another. People who'd never even imagined they could sing started coming to her. Now her schedule's booked a month ahead. She's got a pro mic, great studios, does live streams with big bloggers. But back when she started, it was totally different. Almost no income. Family members whispering behind her back. What kind of job is that? Who even pays good money for voice stuff? You're smart. Get another degree. Work in a school, in an office, anywhere but this. And I remember how she almost gave up. Said maybe it was all pointless, not serious, all for nothing. But it was those sessions in half-empty rooms, those tea breaks and breathwork classes, that became her road. They laid the bridge, the one no one could see back then. What I'm trying to say is, even if what you're doing right now feels silly, meaningless, not paying off, it could be the very step that opens the door you need. Not because you're gonna make it, but because there's truth in it. And truth, always finds a response. Maybe tomorrow, maybe in a month, maybe from somewhere you never expected. But life has a strange way of twisting and turning, especially when you've almost stopped believing. So yeah, sometimes no one around sees the point in what you're doing. Not your friends, not your parents, not your partner. They think you're off in la la land, playing weird games, wasting your time. But they have their own lens, their own interests, their own path, their own inner map. You are not them, and thank God for that. People sometimes ask me, almost accusingly, but how am I supposed to support someone if I think what they're doing is nonsense, a dead end? I just want to protect them. And maybe you've run into this too, watching someone close to you walk a path you're sure leads nowhere. But support isn't about believing in the project, or the idea, or the business plan. Support is about the person. Because if they matter to you, maybe you just trust their inner compass, even if you don't understand where it's taking them, even if you don't like the route. Support isn't about agreement. It's about trust. A warm hand on the shoulder. A look that says, I'm here. And if it doesn't work out, I'll still be here. Sometimes I look at my friends. One moved to another country out of nowhere and started knitting hats. Another quit a stable job and opened a cafe with zero experience. Someone else left a career and went back to school for psychology at 40. I don't always get why. I don't always believe it'll work, but I believe in them, and I think that's the point. I might not believe in the project, but I believe in the person because I see something lit up in them, which means it matters, even if the road is long, even if everything goes sideways. We don't have to see the same horizon. We might just have different eyes. And if you want to not just support, but invest, well, that's a different story. That's not about the soul. That's business. And business can be kind too, but it's still not the same thing. Have you ever felt like you were shedding something from the inside? Not from exhaustion or pain, just because something inside you was dying off to make space for something new. Sometimes it hits you out of nowhere. You wake up and you're already different. Same passport, same voice, same clothes hanging in your closet, but it's like someone gently but firmly flipped your internal compass, and you just can't do the same things anymore. Don't want to. Don't see the point. Like the old you has been archived. It could be New Year's, or a divorce, or your last night in your parents' house before a move, Or your first night in a new apartment that smells like fresh paint and nothing of yours yet. Or maybe nothing happened at all. Maybe you just looked out the window and suddenly knew you're not going back. Not because you can't, but because you don't want to. We live on memory, on what left a mark, a burn, a warmth. We build new paths using old experiences. It's like we hold a map, only it's made of scars, not future trails. And that's okay, because humans don't just start from scratch every day. We cling to what we know, even if it was unbearable, because what's familiar feels safer than some unknown, empty newness. But let's be honest, these past few years have been rough for everyone. Some completely shattered, others quietly but deeply worn down. No one handed us a memo with a stamp saying, "You're entering a personal crisis." It just crept in, one day, then another, then a month, and suddenly you're not really living your life anymore, just surviving. It's like how your body shuts down non-essential systems during shock, just enough to make it, just to hold on. And where before that mode came in short bursts, during breakups, hormonal storms, losses, now it's just always on. Like there's an emergency switch stuck in survival mode. We're adjusting to a new world. But sometimes we adapt for so long, we forget what it's like to just live, to just breathe, without flinching, without fear, without tension in our backs. And in that moment, I'm asking you, really asking, don't beat yourself up for not being productive, for not doing all you should, for falling behind, not achieving, not winning. You're alive. You're here. You're standing. And you don't have to be brand new if the foundation inside you is still cracked, worn out, and exhausted. But here's the good news. Your inner foundation isn't made of concrete. It's alive, like soil. It can be dried out, flooded, trampled, burnt out, but it heals, especially if you give it time and care, especially if you give yourself a chance to breathe and say, okay, I don't want this anymore. I want something else. You know, sometimes I just want to take someone's hand, just like that, human to human, and say, what you're going through right now, it's not forever, really. It's just not forever. Because when pain drags on, it pretends to be forever. It whispers in your ear that this is your life now, that all that's left is a void where nothing will change, not inside, not outside. But that's a lie. What's happening to you today? It's not your whole life. It's just one chapter, not even a chapter, a page. Dense, gray-inked, maybe full of blotches and parts you can't read without flinching. But after that page, there's another. And how you feel right now, it's not a forecast for the next 10 years. It's just a state, like bad weather, with rain and gray skies and wind slapping your face. But even the longest autumn has an end. The amount of money you have right now, the people around you, your energy, your inspiration, all of it can change. And it will, even if you have no idea how. And that goes for the good and the bad. Everything moves, everything shifts, everything's temporary. And honestly, that's such a relief. Because even if you're in pain right now, that's not a sentence. It's just a stretch of road. Sometimes I hear someone say, but what about the people who hurt me? Will they ever get what they deserve? And I never know what to say. Because maybe there's no cosmic bookkeeping, no invoice for betrayal or cruelty. But I do know this. Those people, they're no longer walking with you. And you're still here. You're still going. You're still carrying your soul forward like a lantern with fire still burning inside. And that matters. So if you can, try not to focus on them, on who hurt you and why, on who didn't understand, on who left without closing the door. Focus on you, on how you feel, on your body, your breath, your path. Yeah, sometimes we mess up, all of us. But the truth is, in every single moment, even the weirdest, even the most shameful, we do the best we can with what we have. At that point, with that strength, with that heart. If we could have done differently, we would have. But back then, we couldn't. So next time you feel like beating yourself up, maybe instead ask this: what do I want right now? Truly, honestly. And if you even try to live by that answer, you won't stray from your path. Sure, not everything will work out right away, but at least you won't betray yourself. And that's already huge. I read a post recently. It talked about this feeling that hits especially hard in December: loneliness. Not the kind you measure by how many people are at your table, the kind that sits in your chest, even when you're not alone. People in the comments wrote, "I didn't know so many felt this way. I thought it was just me." One woman said, "I have people to celebrate with, my boyfriend, family, friends, but still, inside, it's empty, and I feel like I'm not with them, just off to the side, like a distant observer." And I realized how many of us carry these permanent states, like a residue that doesn't wash off, not with joy, not with closeness, not with anything. We live inside these states: anxiety, isolation, loneliness. For so long, they become our background noise, like they are the norm. And when peace finally comes, real peace, we don't believe it. We think, where's the trap? Where's the hit I'm about to take? And we start digging in our own heads, replaying shameful memories, spinning fears, imagining disasters, just so we don't relax. I know it sounds sad, but it's also so deeply human. We've just been tense for so long, we forgot how to be at ease. And then someone says, to get out of depression, you have to want to get out. And at first, you want to scream, "What nonsense!" But months or years later, you suddenly get it. There's something in that. Not everything, not the whole truth, but the start. Because change starts with a choice. Yes, it's tautology, but it's real. To change something, you have to at least say to yourself, I don't want this anymore. It's not magic, not a ritual for instant success, not overnight transformation, but it's that seed, the one that eventually grows. When I was about 14, I used to go to this writing club at the library. We wrote stories, read them aloud, argued about what we meant. The vibe was weird, a little naive, a little pretentious. But something about it was genuinely interesting. There was this one girl, let's call her Lena. Her stories were always picked to be read first. They were super simple, almost bare. No metaphors, no fancy words, but they had something real. And I wrote vivid, flowery stuff. I was reading Salinger back then. I tried hard. I thought I saw deeper, that I should be first. Every time Lena got that spot, to open the meeting, something burned inside me. It felt unfair, like, why her? Why not me? One day, she didn't show up. The leader was annoyed, muttering about how this wasn't serious, how you have to be responsible, all that. Everyone was quiet. So was I. But inside, I felt a little triumphant, like justice had been served. Then we found out Lena's grandmother had died, the person closest to her. She'd lived with her since she was a baby. And the day we sat around that table debating metaphors, Lena was at a funeral. When I heard that, I was so ashamed I didn't know where to look, because I suddenly realized we never know what someone else is carrying, what they're holding inside while they quietly sit there and write. That's why I'm telling this. When we think someone's life is better, we forget the cost. We don't know what they paid for that ease on the surface, for the success, the beauty, the fears of the straight-A student studying alone while others party. We don't know the fear of the woman whose pictures make us jealous, but who feels nothing but emptiness inside. We don't hear the aching joints of the ones who smile for the camera every day. We don't know what others have paid, and no one knows what we've paid. And maybe, somewhere out there, there's someone who would give anything to live your life. Yours, even with your fears, your pain, your empty days, because they don't know what it cost you. And for them, it's a dream. So don't compare, don't devalue. Just ask yourself, is what I'm paying worth it to me? Or is it time to change something? That's it, nothing more. Just think about it. Thank you for being here, for listening till the end. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear what this brought up for you. And of course, subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Big hug.